Okay, simplifying surds. I've got the square root of 75, and the square root of 75 doesn't have an exact answer, but it can be written in terms of a smaller square root multiplied by an integer or a whole number. The way to do it is to look at the factor pairs of 75. So we start with 1 multiplied by 75. It's not even, but 3 will go into it. 3 goes in 25 times. And 5 will go in 15 times. They're the factor pairs for 75. Okay, I'm looking for the set of pairs which has a square number in it. And it's this one, look. 3 and 25. 25 is a square number. So I can say that the square root of 75 is the same as the square root of 25 times by 3, because 25 times by 3 is 75. Now the square roots laws allow us to say that that is the same as the square root of 25 multiplied by the square root of 3. I can split it up like that. No problem with that. Well, I know that the square root of 25 is 5, so we'll write that as 5. But the square root of 3, I don't know. It's a decimal, it's not an exact answer, so I'm going to leave it as the square root of 3. 5 multiplied by the square root of 3 is our answer. So the square root of 75 in surd form is 5 root 3. Okay, pause the video, have a go at this question here. Okay, if you've had a go at that question, this is what you should have got. Factor pairs for 32 are 1 and 32, 2 and 16, and 4 and 8. Now this is an occasion where we have two square numbers to choose from. I've got 4, which is 2 squared, and I've got 16, which is 4 squared. And in a case like that, you take the higher square number, so in this case 16, and you say, similarly, the square root of 32 is the square root of 16 multiplied by 2, and again that's just because 16 times 2 is 32. Well, that's the same as the square root of 16 using our square root laws multiplied by the square root of 2. The square root of 16 is 4, but root 2 is root 2, it's irrational. And so the answer is 4 root 2. Okay, there are questions like this on the exercise that I've directed you to in the email. What about if I'm asked to add 2 square roots together? If I'm asked for an exact answer, I'm going to need to write this in surd form, I'm going to need to write this in surd form, and then I'll be able to add them together. So let's start with the square root of 50, and factor pairs for 50 will be 1 and 50, 2 and 25, 5 and 10. Which one's got the square root? Here it is, 2 times 25. So the square root of 50 is equal to the square root of 25 times 2, which is equal to the square root of 25 multiplied by the square root of 2, which is equal to 5 root 2, because 5 is the square root of 25. I'll do the same thing with the square root of 32 now. Don't want to lose that. The square root of 32. Well, we've already done it actually. So I will just quickly go into it's the square root of 16 times 2, because you've done that already. Which is equal to the square root of 16 times the square root of 2, which is equal to 4 root 2. Well, if the square root of 50 is 5 root 2 and the square root of 32 is 4 root 2, why can't I add those two things together? I can. So I'm going to say 5 root 2 plus 4 root 2. If I was adding 5x and 4x, then I would get 9x. Here I'm adding 5 root 2's plus 4 root 2's. So altogether that is 9 root 2's. And so the answer is 9 root 2. The square root of 50 plus the square root of 32 is 9 root 2. Okay, pause the video. Try this question. Okay, welcome back. Start with the square root of 80. 80, I've got 1 times 80, 2 times 40, remember this is factor pairs, 4 times 20, 5 times 16, and 8 times 10. Taking out the one which has got the square number in it, it's this one. So the square root of 80 is same as square root of 16 times 5, which is the square root of 16 times the square root of 5, which is 4 root 5. I will do the same with 20. Factor pairs for 20. Let's do it over here. I've got 1 and 20. I've got 2 and 10. And I've got 4 and 5. Which one's got the square number in it? Here it is. 2 squared is 4. So the square root of 20 is equal to the square root of 4 times 5. Because 4 times 5 is 20. That's equal to the square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of 5, which is equal to 2 root 5. So the square root of 80 is 4 root 5 in said form. The square root of 20 is 2 root 5 in said form. If I now add them together, I'm going to do 4 root 5 plus 2 root 5. I've got 4 root 5's here. I've got 2 root 5's here. Altogether then, that is 7 root 5's. And that's it. So that is for the later questions in the exercise. Have a go. Let me know any problems. Enjoy.